Hi guys, welcome to my niece TV Zealots. My name is Denise and my partner in crime is Mary. Tonight we're here with a million little things. Mary, say hi.
Hi, good evening, our fellow zealots of television. I do hope you will like this video. Subscribe to our channel. We talk a lot about TV. Tonight we watched A Million Little Things, like Denise said, and I feel like this is ABC's answer to This Is Us, maybe.
That's exactly how I feel.
The male version of like a emotional television. We were talking about it earlier when we were first looking at it, and I really wanted it to be a grown-up Gossip Girl. But this is a lot heavier than I hoped. Should we run down the people's names and characters?
Sure, we could do it really quickly. So we start out with John. John is basically who the story is centered around. He finds out some news and he's on the phone. Then all of a sudden he steps off the building and kills himself. John is married to Delilah. And he has two children, a daughter and a son. Yeah. We find out some mess during the episode, but before we get into that, we'll just run through the other three friends. So then we have Eddie, and he's married to Catherine, and they have a son, Theo. Eddie is
he's kind of like a washed up guitar player. He used to play for bands and stuff, but now he just does lessons and stays at home with his son, while his wife is a professional. Isn't it kind of?
Yeah, and I feel like his story was that he is a recovering alcoholic.
Yes.
Then we have Rome, who's married to Regina, and he is a filmmaker, but he wants to make movies, but he's right now working as he's making commercials. Then we have Gary, who is a breast cancer survivor, and he actually just met Maggie at group therapy, and they hit it off.
So messy.
Yeah, so messy. And then he brings, of course, Maggie over to the funeral. And at the funeral, we find out that when Eddie's giving the eulogy, that they actually, you would think they were like college buddies or whatever, but they met because they all got stuck in an elevator. And John kind of like brought the group together. He convinced them to get season tickets because they were all Brewers fans. And that's how they met and became, the best of friends over the years.
Cute. It was.
But then, and this is the whole mess because Ashley, who's John's assistant, there was a folder marked Delilah and his phone that he left before he jumped off the building. And Ashley, who's his personal assistant, found this and she hid it. So I'm thinking all along, I'm like, what is it? What is it? What is it? We still don't know exactly what's in it, but we do know that John's wife, Delilah, has been cheating with Eddie. Which we find out Eddie was cheating in the beginning of the episode, but we're thinking, okay, he's cheating with somebody else, but he's cheating with John's wife. Like, John is the perfect friend. Like, looking out for everybody. I can't.
It was a lot. Again, they're trying to set a stage where you have to keep watching even if you want to find out one little thing. It's like classic soap opera tactic. Like, we watch a lot of TV. I know what they're doing to us, Yeah. My favorite parts of this episode were the stories about Rome and Regina. we first meet Rome. He is writing a suicide note, where John did not leave a public suicide note. So I feel like those are two different ways that they are going about it. And he's, trying to pop pills, and, he's got a mouth full of pills until Gary calls him and tells him that John has succeeded in ending his life. And so he spits them all out in surprise. And he finally comes clean about it to them later. And it was a very beautiful moment. I cannot remember the actor's name, Rome's name in real life, but he played this so amazingly. I kind of wish the show was about him.
I do too, because he did so well. Like, he's gonna win Best Supporting Actor.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he really went in, and he was saying how, well, actually earlier in the episode, Regina was saying how she's like, yeah, if I was back in my dad's house, he would have said, Black folk don't do this. We have Jesus, which is true.
Yeah.
Which is true. But she's sitting next to her husband, who's like, you just don't know. Had John not done this, that would have been me. You would have been getting the call.
Yeah.
And so he breaks down and he tells his friend, because he's like, tell me one good thing that happened, out of this whole ordeal. And he's like, I was sitting there with a mouthful of pills, and I was about to kill myself until you called me and told me John died. He was like, and I don't know. He's like, at some point, I feel like I'm depressed, like I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but I'm still breathing. And I just wonder, what if I'm not, And it was a heavy and emotional moment. And I, of course, started crying, because I can't, I'm just one of those people. I was weeping. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really touched me, because, it's one of those things where, I will say this, a lot of the Black people that I know, I'm not going to say all Black people, because I don't know all Black people, but a lot of Black people I know don't, think that this is something that happens in our community, in our, families. And it does. So I like the way they handled it.
I honestly, full disclosure, I have anxiety and depression, and it's hard to be Black and be depressed. We just got to do our thing. We got to keep going. It's like we got to be superwoman. We have to be magical. You can't be Black and weak at the same time. And I think that's why I really connected with Rome so much, where he was able to do that. And his wife, I love Regina. I want the show to be about them. She's amazing. But again, I feel like if the show goes on, John is going to become some magical catch-all to any loose strings in the season. Like, she really wanted to open up a restaurant, but her former partner fell through. So the last thing that John did was buy you a restaurant, which was a really cute moment. Don't get me wrong. It was beautiful.
It was cute, but it seemed weird.
Yeah, it was too much. It was pretty forced to me. I don't want to.
Well, well, you know what? I don't feel like it was forced, only because they set the tone that this is how John was.
That's true.
And if we go back to how they first met, he was getting her out of a contract, out of a bad deal, and he knew that her goal was to open a restaurant. So he was working on this before he finds out all of this foolishness with the family. But I think it's more going on with it, because his assistant is then at the end deleting files from his computer. So I think it's more to it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not just him finding out, his friend betrayed him. Because he seems like the type that would have forgave him. I'm like, I'm just thinking of him.
Yeah. And then, the ending. That was that was rough for me. Eddie, he's talking to Delilah and he's like, the last time we were together was the last moments of John's life. He called my phone while we were together and I said I'd just get it later. He left a voicemail. So Eddie sat down with a drink, the first drink in 7 years, to sit down and listen to John's voicemail. But then his son Theo comes in and he wants to, be sung back to sleep or whatever. And so he sits down with his guitar and he sings, I looked at life from both sides now. And that was just so precious to me. But I want to know what's in the voicemail. I feel like John knew. I don't know.
Well, in the preview, she sees that he found his necklace. So he knew.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next week.
I don't know if I can handle it. It's so emotional.
Right. I feel like they got us on the hook and I have to watch at least one more.
Just one more. Uno mas. I can't cry every week.
It's fine. We'll get through it.
All in all, good episode. So
yeah,
let us know if you guys liked it.
All right. It's worth taking taking a look at and seeing if you like it or not. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good night. Bye.